might fall off the edge of the world. It took a man like Ferdinand Magellan to go past this edge of the world that was supposed to bring him a drop to realize that there was still more water and there was still more land to go. 500 years later, we have not abandoned imposing limits on ourselves. We avoid high aspirations, settling for low aspirations instead. I have an adaptation on T.S. Eliot's quote, "Only those who dream too high can know just how far one can dream." Allow me to explain. I was born in May of 1999 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Lucky for me, I was the first of my siblings that my parents could afford to actually bear in a hospital. More fortune was directed towards me when, at the age of 5, my entire family immigrated to America. Once we arrived at America, you could be sure that in the early hours of dawn, the eyes of my brother and I would be glued to the television set as we tried to decipher the speech of Caillou and Arthur. You could be sure the PBS station deserves credit for my rapid progression through the I was a part of the Young Scholars program in Mount Eagle Elementary School, and my parents were delighted when I was selected to transfer to the Level 4 AAP program in Springfield Estates. At Springfield Estates, I gained an intense passion for reading due to assigned readings such as Night by Elie Wiesel and Animal Farm by George Orwell and an abridged form of the Odyssey. Going on to middle school, I was able to explore many career interests. In 7th grade, I owe my intense passion for medicine because my 7th grade science AAP teacher recommended me to get a full scholarship for a 2-week course on infectious biological outbreaks at TJ High School. Additionally, in 8th grade, my 8th grade civics AAP class visited the Fairfax County Courthouse not too far from here. At the courthouse, there was an Ethiopian man in custody, and he couldn't speak to the judge because of a language barrier, and his case was going to be delayed a few days. And I wanted to stand up in the courtroom. I know the Ethiopian language. I wanted to stand up, "Judge, I can save the day, I can translate for it." But I wisely restrained myself. More than a potential heroic moment, this gave me raw experience on what it would be like to be a lawyer. Going on into high school, approaching the infamous junior year, my counselor had exuberantly recommended that I take the most challenging course load offered by Mount Vernon. However, I was afraid. I doubted my potential. Even though I was one of the smartest people in my school, I thought I would fail in a highly challenging setting. In essence, I was afraid to dream. I was afraid to venture out into uncharted waters. I was afraid if I went too far, if I dreamt too far, I would fall off the edge of the world. And so I swallowed my pride. I went to the IB coordinator's office and I said, "What are the 6 easiest classes that I can take that would give me the IB diploma?" And I enrolled in those classes. But over the summer, I was speaking to a church elder. He told me I should take the most challenging courses available to me since I shouldn't waste opportunity so highly coveted by those in Ethiopia. Additionally, he told me all these IB courses will give me a high-paying job that would allow me to financially assist my siblings in case they're in need. So the very next morning, I emailed my counselor. I asked him to change my IB math standard level to higher level and to change my general anatomy elective to IB chemistry higher level part 2. And in summation, this past junior year has been life-changing. One class I'd like to emphasize in particular is IB chemistry higher level part 2. It's a junior and senior combined class, so it contains literally all the brightest students in Mount Vernon are in the class. So I was very scared, but going into it on the first day, I was surprised to see that a large majority of the students were minority students like me. And then I had asked myself, if minority students are being successful, what's stopping me? What's limiting my success? And from that, with that new mindset, I had gotten an A- overall for that year, and for the internal assessment, which factors into the IB score, I had gotten the highest grade out of the juniors and seniors. I entered that project into my science fair. I got first place both at my school and the Fairfax County regional level, allowing me to go on to state. And now remember, this is for a kid whose palpable fear of these IB classes had driven him to the IB coordinator's office asking what are the easiest classes. I was no longer doubting my potential, I was exploiting my potential. I no longer, just like Ferdinand Magellan, I no longer had desire to explore uncharted water. I wanted to go past the boundary, past my limit, past what I thought the extent of my limits were, past what I thought my extent of my limits were. Now going on into summer, with my habit of aspiring highly, going into Boy State, I had a habit of aspiring highly. I wanted the highest position, which was governor. I pursued it, and I was elected. Going on into governor school this past summer, with my habit of aspiring highly, I wanted to be president of my class. I was elected president of my class. But without these IB courses with showing me my capacity to succeed, I would have never thought an immigrant like me could have the highest position in an American Civic Association. I would have never thought out of all the smart kids at governor school that I would be elected the president of the genome class. But all these IB courses, they showed me that I have a capacity to succeed. I wouldn't be pursuing the Ivy League universities I am now pursuing had not the IB program showed me just how capable I am for success. Dreams are an unquenchable thirst. If you thought my plans going into junior year were ambitious, now going into senior year, not only am I taking seven IB courses, I'm also taking an online AP statistics class. Now I have a message for principals gathered here today. In my apartment complex and the nearby apartment, I live on Route 1, also known as Richmond Highway. In my apartment complex and surrounding complexes resided entirely by minorities, we have a saying. When a person graduates high school, goes on to college, we say they have left the highway. Unfortunately for the large majority of youth, many stay in the highway. They fail to graduate, they fail to go on to college, and they end up working at Walmart. And this is a national problem. It's not just a local problem. There is an achievement gap. Many minorities are born into poverty, and they stay in poverty their whole life. However, I believe Fairfax County Public Schools has discovered the solution to reverse this trend. It's the Young Scholars Model. You probably already, I want to give you a face to all the statistics that show that the Young Scholar Model is reversing this trend and closing the achievement gap. My parents, my mom, she didn't, growing up in the countryside of Ethiopia, my mom didn't go to school at all. My dad went until about 8th grade. The next generation fared a bit better. However, my brother and sister, they couldn't graduate at Edison because their age, they were about like 20 and 21, so they had to move to Bryant Alternative High School to finish. My brother, he was so old that when he went to class, they thought he was the substitute teacher. And I also have another brother who didn't graduate high school at all. He didn't go to Bryant, he just didn't graduate. So I was in line to follow their steps. I was in line to be a high school dropout. However, it was until one teacher, my elementary school teacher, seeing my potential, she placed me she chose me to transfer to Springfield Estates for the Level 4 Advanced Academics program. And this had a ripple effect. Even now I'm in high school and there are no more AAP classes, I'm still taking honors and all IB school classes, just like all my friends at my AAP school were doing, instead of taking general classes like those in my community are doing. Now, instead of the Young Scholar Model, it had taken me from one path and put me into another one. Instead of staying at Route 1, instead of working at Walmart, now my future looks like I'm going to be at Cambridge, Massachusetts as a doctor. And that's what the Young Scholar Program has done for me. And now, young scholars, how can you support young scholars in your school? There's many diverse challenges faced by young scholars, and I'm asking you to accommodate to meet those challenges. Due to various circumstances, young scholars, they may not have parents who are gonna ensure the academic progress of their students. Therefore, administrators and teachers alike need to fill in the role of the parent. They need to have personal conversations with the children and set goals in regards to homework completion, in regards to number of books read, in class participation. Children, especially elementary school students, they can't procure their own incentive to succeed. However, trying to impress an admin or trying to impress a student that has invested time and that believes in them will be incentive enough. And one of the greatest, in most cases, the parents are willing to help. They want to participate. However, they just don't know how. They're not acquainted with the American educational system. This is why parent-teacher conferences are especially vital for young scholar students. At the parent-teacher conference, you can inform them about their homework, about what level books the students are supposed to be reading, how they can further participate. And I believe the most important thing that admin, principals, that teachers can do for young scholars is push them beyond their expectation. For example, if a student believes their extent of their limit in math or English is right here, push them to that limit. And then they'll realize that their limit is actually further off. And then they'll realize, oh, my limit is actually further off. It's right here. Push them until that limit, and then they'll realize, oh, my limit, the extent to my limit is actually further off. Keep pushing them until they realize, oh, I have no limits. Oh, this is just a figment of my imagination. And then you're setting them up for success, not only in high school, but in life by showing them there is no limit to their abilities. Which brings us back to the quote by T.S. Eliot, only those who go too far can know just how far one can go. Only those who dream too high can know just how far one can dream. I have many things to thank principals here gathered here, my teachers, my admin. I have many things I can thank you for, but if I had to choose one, it's showing me that there is no limit to my ability. There is no boundary. If I went too far, there's no limit, there's no edge I would fall off. If I dreamt too high, there would be no consequence. That I could dream as high as I want. It's not the inability to climb great heights. It's not the inability to walk great lengths, but it's the inability to dream that withholds us. The Young Scholar Program has showed me this, and I hope it shows this to my many peers in Fairfax County. Thank you.
Thank you.